have now officially reached a turning point in the campaign for President of the United States, and it has nothing to do with a slam against a real American hero. It does not connect with the handing out of an opponent's cell phone number, and do not look at the candidate who blames the rise of ISIS on climate change. Look instead to the moment when the senator from Kentucky manned up and took a chainsaw to reams of paper. Now we've got a race. The political animal slices into such matters. Let's welcome back the veteran radio talker and Newsmax political analyst Larry Elder and the senior policy analyst from the Independent Women's Forum, Hadley Heath Manning. I want to thank you both for joining us. Larry, I'm going to get started with you on this one. Here we go. Brand new ad from Rand Paul. He's out there wood chipping and chainsawing the tax code in a new ad. And we also have Mike Huckabee, who is using characters from The Lion King, Hakuna Matata, and basically using it in a vine that shows a nuclear bomb going off after it. Wait a minute here, Larry. Is everybody now just trying to catch up to the Donald here and find a way to cut through the noise?
Mission accomplished, Ed. You and I are talking about Rand Paul. You and I are talking about these candidates, and we haven't done it in a very long time. I thought they were very clever. It's real early, and they're trying to distinguish themselves. They're trying to stand out. They're not doing very, very well in the numbers. They're in single digits, and so they're trying to do something to attract people's attention. It's called politics.
Hadley Heath, though, on the other side of this, while it's gaining some attention right now, yes, we are talking about it, but don't you have to be careful that you don't go over the edge? Because there still is a line somewhere that's got to be drawn sooner or later, and it can't get too far out of hand.
Right. I think regardless of a Trump candidacy or not, we'd see more gimmicks like this. We'd see more attempts to get attention, especially at this point. But you're right, they bear the risk. These candidates bear the risk of being seen as unserious when it comes time for those debates, when it's time to actually talk about the issues and what separates them in terms of political philosophies and politics. Then it is a question of, who can be a serious leader. It doesn't take a chainsaw to lead the country, but it takes, the right policies. So I think it's a perfectly fine way to try to get attention right now. Larry's right, we are talking about it, but later in the campaign cycle, we will have to talk about the issues.
All right, so let's talk about at least one of the issues, immigration. Donald Trump going to Mexico, going to stand, sit, kneel on the border on Thursday just to make sure that he's there. Hadley Heath, to you first. Is this almost sort of a mea culpa and a little bit of a backup for the Donald here? Because let's face it, Mexicans and the people who have any sort of Latino extract are not happy with him at all after what he said.
That's right. His numbers have been just very, very low with people who identify as Hispanic. And I think it is a chance for him maybe to gain some support, because we have to remember, even among the Hispanic vote, you've got a very diverse group of people, immigrants from a lot of different countries, from a lot of different parts of the world, who might identify as Hispanic and who live and vote in the United States. But Donald Trump is not one to apologize publicly. He's not one to back up on any of the rhetoric he's been using. So I think if we were to ask him, is this a mea culpa, he would answer no, that he would never back down from his comments or any of the things that he said.
So, Larry, a lot of interesting articles that have been talking about Donald Trump in the last couple of weeks. But the words that I used on this show and others are using are angry GOP. Makes no difference what you say about Donald Trump. There is an anger out there that he is tapping into. All right, so now to you, Larry. How do you tap into that anger without feeding the Donald? How do you then, as a candidate, make it your own and get some votes from it?
Well, I don't see it as anger. I see it as acute frustration. Let me call it that. People are angry about how bad the economy is versus how cheerleading the media are, CNN especially. People realize that the incomes are not back. Their net worth is not back yet. Obama's walking around as if he has discovered cancer. People are also very upset about the borders. We're told that the borders have never been more secure. People know otherwise, and people feel that they're being lied to. So Trump is tapping, I think, Ed, into that kind of frustration. They want people to tell them the truth, and they don't feel like they're getting the truth.
All right, Hadley Heath, here comes another side of this, and this comes from now the gender card being played by Hillary Clinton as she goes around the country. But here's something fascinating. A new Quinnipiac University poll says in Colorado, Iowa, and Virginia, when she goes head-to-head with Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, and Scott Walker, they are, quote, on the wrong side of a too-close-to-call race comes Hillary Clinton. What does that say to you at this point of the campaign?
I think this was only a matter of time, and I think we're going to continue to see this trend continue because there are some stellar candidates on the Republican side of the aisle. There's no denying that the Republican field is stronger now than it was in 2012 or in 2008. So those candidates that you're mentioning, Walker, Bush, Rubio, they are stellar candidates. They have a great resume when it comes to their time spent in public office, and people are often left scratching their heads when they have to talk about what is Hillary Clinton's record, what did she do as Secretary of State, what accomplishments can they be proud of, and also a major question this election will be, is she trustworthy, and is she the kind of person who cares about concerns of people like me? Because that was ultimately what boosted President Obama to a second term.
Okay, before we go, I want you both to hear this. Democratic presidential candidate Martin O'Malley talking on Bloomberg, talking about climate change partially leading to the rise of ISIS. Here we go.
One of the things that preceded the failure of the nation state of Syria and the rise of ISIS was the effect of climate change and the mega drought that affected that region, wiped out farmers, drove people to cities, created a humanitarian crisis that created the symptoms, or rather the conditions of extreme poverty that has led now to the rise of ISIL and this extreme violence.
10 seconds to you, Larry. Face palm goes on both sides of the political aisle, does it not?
I think we ought to disband the military, Ed, and send in Greenpeace.
What do you think, Hadley Heath? 10 seconds to you.
I think people are just going to hear this and think this is absurd. By far the best candidate on this issue is Carly Fiorina. She's talking good sense about it. And President Obama says that climate change is a national security threat. So this is O'Malley just echoing those talking points.
Oh, wait a minute. But it's just so good we have to continue to play it all the time. Larry
and we're
Elder,
talking about O'Malley. And we're talking about O'Malley. Ed.
Don't worry. We'll have new ones next time. Thank you both for joining us. Coming up next, Making a Smarter America with Academy Award-winning actor Richard Dreyfuss on the Hardline.